Herkese merhabalar, iyi akşamlar dileriz. Ben İmran Mehmet, British Education Bureau eğitim uzmanı olarak bugün sizlerleyim. Bugün resmi temsilcisi olduğumuz University of Southampton'dan Profesör Kushik Maratna ve Rami, yetkilimiz Rami Al-Musa ile birlikteyiz. Sizleri de bu güzel etkinlikte ağırlamaktan mutlu olduğumuzu belirtmek isteriz. Ben hem bilgisayar mühendisliği programları hem de elektronik mühendisliği ile ilgili eğitim süreciyle ilgili bilgileri aktarmadan önce yetkililerimiz ve akademisyenimiz çok kısa British Education Bureau'dan bahsetmek isterim sizlere. Biz Southampton Üniversitesi'nin Türkiye'deki resmi temsilciliğini yapan kurumuz. Temsil ettiğimiz üniversitelerin Türkiye'deki tanıtım faaliyetlerini gerçekleştiriyoruz. Üniversitelerin Türkiye'deki organizasyonlarını yapan kurumuz. 2002 yılında Oxford'da kurulduk. İngiliz ve Türk kuruculara sahip bir yapımız mevcuttur. Son 20 yıldır Ankara, İstanbul, İzmir olmak üzere 3 büyük şehrimizde öğrencilerimize hizmet sağlamaya devam ediyoruz. Uzmanlık alanımız tamamen Birleşik Krallık eğitim sistemidir. Üniversitelerin giriş şartları, başvuru aşaması, vize ve konaklama süreçleri boyunca öğrencilerimize destek sağlamaya devam ediyoruz. Tüm danışmanlık kadromuz Birleşik Krallık eğitim sistemine hakim. Bu konularda sürekli olarak eğitimler almaya devam eden bir yapıdan oluşmaktadır. Birleşik Krallık'ta toplam 130 tane üniversite bulunmaktadır. Biz bu 130 üniversitenin 90'ının Türkiye'deki resmi temsilciliğini yapan kurumuz. Ve temsil ettiğimiz tüm üniversiteler içinde bu bahsetmiş olduğum süreçler boyunca tamamen ücretsiz danışmanlık hizmeti sağlıyoruz. Bugünden sonraki tüm etkinliklerimizi ve bilgilendirme paylaşımlarımızı internet sayfamız, Instagram ve Facebook üzerinden bu adreslerden takip edebilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda İstanbul, Ankara, İzmir ve Lefkoşa'daki ofislerimize de bu numaralardan ulaşabilirsiniz. Merak ettiğiniz hem elektronik mühendisliği hem bilgisayar mühendisliği ile ilgili eğitim süreçleri ve akademik programlar noktasında tüm soruları sunum sırasında veya sonunda paylaşabilirsiniz. Hem akademisyenimiz hem yetkilimizle birlikte bu sorularla ilgili size yardımcı olmaya devam edeceğiz. Thank you, Rami. It's yours now.
Thank you very much, Imran. Thank you, BEB, for the organization. If you hear any baby noises, I can inform you this is my little addition to the family. So I hope we're not distracted by that. It's a pleasure for me to welcome Professor Kuchik Maharanta, who is our senior admissions tutor at the Faculty of Electronics and Computer Science. Professor Kuchik is one of the well-established and world-renowned academics at Southampton, and we're very happy to have him with us today. So he'll be talking about our electronics and computer science programs, our MSc programs, and then he will hand back to myself, and I will be talking about the university, about any logistics, applications, scholarships, and many, many more. So please, if you have any questions, do feel free to leave them towards the end of Professor Kuchik's presentation. And then you can also ask me towards the end of my presentation as well. So thank you very much for attending, everyone. And Professor Kuchik, over to you. I'm going to share your slides, which you've just sent me. So can everyone see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Kuchik, over to you.
Thank you so much, Rami and Imran, both of you. And it's an interesting thing to give a talk to our Turkish colleagues because I had very good experience in Turkey. I have been there and I picked up Izmir from what Imran was saying. I don't know the context, but I really loved Izmir because from Izmir I used to go out to do some kind of travels to see the ancient places and so on and so on. So yeah, it kind of brought some sort of memory back in my mind. But anyway, that's probably for some other day to talk about. So today I'm going to talk about the opportunities and the speciality, let's say, about MSCs in Southampton. And my name is Kaushik Maharatna. I'm a professor in electronics and computer science, and I play the role of senior admission tutor of MSc. So which means basically I am the person who regulates the MSc admission in electronics and computer science. Next slide, please. So first of all, I want to spend a little bit on why you should come to Southampton. I mean, we have quite a lot of interesting universities in the UK, and some of them are pretty old, but those who know the history of electronics in Southampton, or well, let's say in the UK, then you will probably know that Southampton is the oldest electronics school in the whole UK. And that was, we started our journey from there and we kept on doing that. Eventually, we realized that computer science and electronics are not really separate, but they are intertwined. And therefore, it's more prudent to have both of these topics under one umbrella, or let's say under one school. So that's how the electronics and computer science was formed. And another important thing to mention here is that in the UK, the government, or let's say different organizations, rank different universities. So there are two different rankings, two different types of rankings exist. One is the ranking of the overall university, which is kind of average over all the departments of an university. And the second one is department-wise ranking. So it can happen that one university is, let's say, ranked 3, but the electronics of that university is ranked somewhere around 20 because of the process that is followed. Now, in terms of us, I think since you are interested in electronics and computer science, what you should be looking for is the best departments offering electronics and computer science education in the UK, rather than whether the university is giving great education in nursing or business, right? So it is basically subject dependent thing that normally is students are looking at. Now here goes the main point of Southampton. All the UK universities, now I'm just narrowing down to only electronics and computer science. Every year this ranking, when it comes out, all the other universities, their electronics or the computer science, because not everybody has combined electronics and computer science, they will move up or down if I consider the first 3. But our position is always constant in the first 3. And this is happening for probably last 10 years or so. So you can imagine what I'm trying to say here. In simple word, if you take the average of electronics and computer science departments of all the UK universities over the last 10 years, you will find Southampton is the number 1. Full stop. Okay? So that is why we get very good students all over from UK, Europe, Asia, everywhere. And that is the thing I am just trying to describe now, what the course looks like, what are the things we are looking for, and so on, so on. Because as we have always ranked at the top of the UK universities in terms of electronics and computer science, we also would like to attract the best students, because ultimately a department's reputation is built up on the students. So the students are the key to us, and all our thing that we do is centered around the students. So now in terms of MSc, if I just look at that, it is a condensed 12-month course. Now there are different universities, not in the UK, but in the other parts of Europe, who will be offering something like a 1.5 years course or 2 years course, etc., etc. So now there is always a question of which one is better, 2 years or 1 year? What I can say is that if you look at your overall professional life, if you lose a year, then you will lose a year, right? Instead of that, if you have the knowledge of the 2 years condensed within 1 year, that will save one of your life. Question is the condensation enough for achieving some sort of level in terms of professional side? I would say more than enough. But here is a big but. Students have to work really, really hard. And they have to go through our exam systems. Condensation means more work per day. And that is how we want to make our students, because then when they go into the professional life, when there is only pressure, no leeway, I cannot say that I just want to do this thing today, I am not feeling well. Nobody cares about it. At the end of the day, performance matters. And we train our students according to that, so that they can be successful in their life, in their professional life. Okay. Now, as I said, that we have always consistently ranked amongst the top, and all our long-running MSc programs are accredited by the professional bodies. So you know that there are different professional bodies like IET, IEEE, etc., right? And the accreditation is very important because these organizations recognize that the program we are running is of very high standard that is appropriate for industry. This is where the main point of accreditation is. And this is also the first step to become a chartered engineer. If you have studied a course which is not accredited by those organizations, then you will not be able to become a chartered engineer in very straightforward way. There are different ways, but they will take time. So this is one big point, that all our long-running MSc programs are accredited. Second thing is, we design our course based on our research. We have lots of academics who are involved in government policy making. And the meaning of that is that in this dynamically changing world, where the industry requirement changes every now and then and so on, we take part in making that policy. And therefore, we hand down our first-hand knowledge of how the technology frontier is changing through our teaching. How we do that? So we combine our research together with the latest outcome from the industry. And that is why we say our courses are research driven. We are very lucky to have academians who are world famous in terms of their research. We bring the research material into our course curriculums. And that gives our students really cutting edge compared to the others because they are well versed with the latest knowledge of the field. So, and we also organize many career events run by proactive senior fellow. And these career events cover partnerships and business development sides. And we have something like, for example, a career fair where all the top UK universities come and they simply just want a space to stand there. It's so crowded. The reason they come is that they know that the students we produce are the best and they want to attract them. Students can go to them, talk to them, and they get connections to the industry and so on, which probably they can use for further applications and so on. Not only that, what we also do is that we have something called Future World. And this Future World is a technology incubator. So for example, one of our students, let's say, come up with a fantastic idea, a business idea. How they can proceed? They can come down to our Future World. They can contact the Future World. It's a dedicated service. And the Future World people will analyze the idea with them. And then they will say, right, this is a great idea. It has a business potential and so on. So let's take it forward. So they actually start to guide you through the process, will help you through the process to establish your own company, your own business and so on. And this thing is extremely successful for our students. Lots of our students have actually availed that service. Next slide, please. Rami, next slide, please. Yeah. So apart from those things, in terms of teaching, we have extensive research facilities. Since we are very much research-oriented university, there are so many streams of research going on here. And we have the cutting-edge technology tools for doing those research. Now, why it matters to you? Because when you will come to do your project, individual project, and I will come to that structure a bit later, when you will come to that project, then you will be using those research labs or research facilities. So you will know that what you are doing is absolutely world-class. For example, we have the largest clean room complexes in the UK. So all the universities who want to produce some sort of chip or some sort of sensors or etc., they actually come down to us. Not all, but most of them, depending upon their requirements. So we have dedicated student electronics lab where that can be used for teaching as well as project work. And I guess that that electronic lab is probably one of the best equipped lab in the entire Europe. Then we have dedicated lab for life science interface electronics. Now this is where things become really interesting. Because in the earlier days, we had the idea that electronics is completely different from biology. But to be honest, it is very much relevant to biology. Imagine that when you go to a doctor and the doctor makes a scan. What is a scan? What is an MRI scan or a CT scan or whatever? They are electronic things. So basically, we apply knowledge of electronics to understand life science. That is, again, one big part here. And we have the lab that is, as I said, very big, and this can accommodate quite a lot of students. And we keep it upgraded all the time. Next slide, please. Okay. So let us just come down to the structure. So the course structure is essentially composed of 3 semesters. First semester normally runs between October to January, with 3 weeks of Christmas break in between. And at the end of this semester, that is in January, you have examination. And so the next semester starts from the beginning of February. So exam period, you can imagine somewhere around 15th of January to 30th of January, somewhere around this range, roughly. So then immediately after the exam, we start our semester 2, which runs from February to June. But in the middle, we have 4 weeks of Easter break. And at the end of June, you once again appear the semester 2 exam. And after the exam, immediately we start the semester 3, which runs from July to September. And this semester is completely dedicated for project. So there is no study, no exam, but it is project, individual research project. And those projects are very high level projects. There is no official break during that semester. But sometimes people say that, oh, this is summer, I want to go to seaside. Okay, go there for 3 days, that's fine, but it's something that the students need to deal with the supervisor. Okay, officially we don't give any break. So overall, the courses, the credit point is 90 ECTS because everything is Bologna compliant now. In the earlier days, we used to use some sort of metric which is called CATS, which is about roughly 2 times the ECTS, but it's the same now. So semester 1, what we have is 4 modules with 7.5 ECTS each. Now, these 4 modules are mainly the core modules for the subject area, because it is important to build up the core knowledge before diving into something optional. So therefore, we've stressed that these 4 modules over here are really the core subject area. In semester 2, we have another 4 modules. Now, these could be optional depending upon the program you want to get into. Again, all of them 7.5 ECTS each. And in semester 3, we have this big MSc project, which is 30 ECTS. So if somebody does very good in semester 1 and semester 2, but in the project they fail, it's problem. Okay, so as I say, that it's 1-year program, we can't relax. We all are on our toes. Next slide, please. Okay, so how we deliver our courses? Well, there is a traditional way of lectures, but on top of that, we have group teachings, depending upon the size of the group. And that can vary from lecturer to lecturer. Now, practical work, this is something very important. We have huge amount of practical work. And some of the works actually involved in dedicated reading. So what is dedicated reading? We will act as a customer. We will give you a problem. Solve this. You have 3 weeks. Solve this. We are customers, so you can discuss with us about our requirement, but the subject area, you need to research yourself. You need to come up with this solution. Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that we will not be helping you. Whenever you have the problems, we are there. Whenever you have confusion, we are there. If you say that I don't find the material to read, we will give you materials. But the thing is that you need to self-learn few things. This is part of our professional life. Okay? And then there are lots of courseworks. So as I said, that once you get in, it is going to be very intense 1 year. Now, assessment, written exams, traditional. But on top of that, we have lots of courseworks, and the courseworks are mainly designed in the way that these are problem-solving exercise. Lab reports, and in the lab reports, there are different ways we do the lab reports depending on the subject area, which could have literature review. There could be group design exercise, particularly for the computer science, we have quite a lot of those, and individual or small group projects, we do that thing. And at the end of the taught part of the program, students basically students see how much they got in terms of marks, but before that they can start the their individual projects, and individual projects is pretty much research orientated. Again, saying that we will be your supervisor, we will be taking you through every step, but you have to do the main reading with help from us. It is not a class lecture. I give you slides, I ask you some questions which are from the slides, and you just write it in the exam. No, that doesn't happen. Next slide, please. So in terms of the courses we have, essentially we have two different branches. One is the electronics and one is computer science. So in electronics, we have 6 different programs: micro and nanotechnology, microelectronic system design, systems controls and signal processing, mobile communication and smart network, energy and sustainability with electrical power engineering, and electronic engineering. Now, each of these things are very much specialized, as their name suggests. I will come to each of them one after another. But what I want to point out is that, well, let me just go to the computer science also. So computer science, again, it's a similar kind of structure. We have artificial intelligence, data science, software engineering, cybersecurity, computer science, and Internet of Things. So if you look at this chart, you will find all of these modules are, or programs, I should not say modules, all of these programs are specialized. But there are 2 particular programs, one for electronics, one for computer science, which are not very much specialist sort of thing. Those programs are electronic engineering and computer science. Why we keep it like this? Because we have realized that there are in some students, and there is a kind of growing demand from the students to learn about the breadth of a subject area. So electronics engineering, for example, if somebody comes in there, they will learn all the other 5 programs that I have shown in this chart from electronic side. And the similar thing happened with the computer science. But the thing is, this will give you a very broad view of to the students who are particularly interested to build up their own business career, company, etc., etc. Because imagine that if you want to run a company on electronics products or something, you need to have knowledge of different branches of electronics. This is made for them. Similarly, for the computer science, if you want to run a company for computer science oriented products, you need to learn, you need to know at least some sort of basics for all the other programs I have just shown here. But if you say you want to work in the industry of artificial intelligence, then you should not be taking computer science as the program, but you should be taking artificial intelligence as the program you want to study, because that will go in depth. So it is up to you to choose what you want. Do you want to stay on the surface with certain depth, or you want to stay in the vertical direction, that is one area but with very much in-depth knowledge? So this is something that you can see, that electronics engineering is basically a vertical field covering all aspects of electronics, whereas let's say micro and nano electronics is completely focused on how you are going to make some VLSI devices or something like that. Okay, next slide, please. Right. So in terms of electronics and electrical engineering, now I just start to just say about what these things are. So microelectronics things, micro and nanotechnology, essentially the subject area's focus is development of nanoelectronic systems. Now, when I say nanoelectronic systems, it's a kind of, let's say, a bloody sort of description of that. Because anything can be nanoelectronics. So let me just be completely specific. Here, under this course, we teach students how to fabricate, let's say, advanced sensors and devices. So if you are talking about new type of transistor, or if you are talking about new type of sensor to sense, I don't know, maybe whatever space thing or so on, you should be studying this one. This one has a specialist option to support biomedical and bio-nanotechnology applications, because this is a seriously booming field at this moment. In fact, as you will see, we will go through these courses. All of the courses more or less have something common with biomedical and biotechnology. Because as I say, that the MRI scan, it is electronics, right? But the thing doesn't end there. For example, when you have an Apple Watch, in the Apple Watch, you can see your ECG. Let me not get into the debate on whether this ECG is something you can believe or not. I'm not going to get into that. But what I would say is that how the watch then senses the ECG. They use some sort of nanosensors. How they build it? This is what we are going to teach you in this particular course. What we need is upper second class honors degree or higher in electronic engineering. Ideally, you should have studied some semiconductor device, circuit design, control, and communication. But one thing I would say, for all of our subjects, physics and maths are essential. So if you don't have physics and maths, probably it will be difficult for you to cope with all the things that we are offering. But so physics and maths is a constant background, let's say. On top of that, if you have studied some of these topics like semiconductor devices, circuit design, control, and communication, then it's absolutely fine. In terms of language, IELTS is 6.5 overall, with at least 6 in each competency. And in terms of career opportunities, as I said already, it's the semiconductor industry, which obviously encompasses all the sensors and so on. It can be applied for telecommunication because, yeah, you need to build up very miniaturized antenna and antenna processing device, etc., etc. Vehicular technology. Nowadays, whenever you are getting into a car, you can see that the car is trying to figure out whether you are tired or etc., etc. All sorts of these industries are actually, this course is geared for that sort of industries. Next slide, please. Now, microelectronic systems. Just go back one slide. So microelectronic systems design. Now, what is the difference between the previous one and this one? The difference is very subtle because they actually overlap in some aspects, yet they're different. For example, let me just tell you just give an example, let's say. So let us say that you sense my pulse rate with a sensor, just like the Apple Watch or other Galaxy Watch is doing. So you sense something. What does it mean? That means that probably there is a change in current or voltage in the device. Good. then how do I know what this change of current and voltage is actually telling me? I cannot plug that signal into oscilloscope when I am walking down the road, right? So it has to be processed by some sort of circuit. And that circuit is taught in microelectronic systems design. So you can imagine that you have the devices and so on, but in order to extract information from them, you need to have some specialized circuits and systems to make sense of the data. And that's what microelectronic systems design does. In terms of eligibility criteria, it's more or less the same. I would not keep on repeating the thing over and over, but I would just try to highlight the main aspects of these courses. The rest of the things are more or less kind of same. Where they will be different, I will mention. Next slide, please. Now here comes another interesting thing, systems control and signal processing. So let us say that I want to make an artificial limb. So what happens there? There is some sensor which we learn from micro and nanotechnology. And then whatever happening in that sensor, we are processing with the circuits that we learned from microelectronic systems design. And now this one has to do something. It can just give it just a normal information saying that this person is not moving at all, or I can use that information to make my hand moving. How can I do that? I need to study controls. I need to study signal processing, because I want to make sense of the signal, what the signal is telling me to do. So when I put this one at the back end of my nanoelectronics, nanotechnology, and then microelectronic systems design, then this part comes where it will take that information out from my circuit, go for some algorithm design so that I can do a particular type of task, be it a communication task, be it a biological task, or be it anything. Again, the entry criteria is more or less the same. Only difference is that here we also allow students coming from electrical engineering and computer science background. The previous two are probably not that much good for the computer science people, but here we allow computer science people because inherently signal processing systems and control has some kind of overlap with the computer science. So next one, please. Now this is completely a different side. Mobile communications and smart networking. I mean, mobile communication and networks, I think I don't need to talk about it at all, because if nowadays the first thing people know is mobile communication and networks, because every now and then we always keep on saying, oh, my network is not working that good. Forget about microelectronics, nanoelectronics, etc., etc. This is something everybody knows. So you know what kind of career you can have in there. It's a wide range of system design for the telecommunication technology. Because what we do here is that we cover every aspect of state-of-the-art communication technology, starting from the digital coding, transmission, radio communication. Now here comes the overlapping with signal processing, because communication cannot happen without signal processing. So you can see that there is a commonality of this part of signal processing of this course with the course of signal processing systems and control. Now, obviously, we go to the wireless communication, and there comes another important thing, which is cryptography, because you don't want people to know what you are doing over your mobile network, right? So we need to apply coding, etc., etc. So there comes the cryptography. Again, the entry criteria is more or less the same. And here also we bring in the computer technology background students because of the commonality in coding, signal processing, and wireless communication itself is very much computer driven. Next slide, please. And now, as I said, for electronic engineering, this is an umbrella course over all of them. So if somebody takes electronic engineering, then they will learn a bit of nanotechnology, they will learn a bit of microelectronic systems design, a bit of wireless communication, a bit of signal processing, all of them. But of course, as you can imagine, that will not go to the depth. So basically, it will be horizontal rather than vertical type of thing. And in that case, basically electronics engineering degrees is the main background, or higher with, although we keep on saying second class, remember one thing, I just want to make it completely clear. Second class honors degree or upper second class honors degree, we consider as the minimum entry level. So it doesn't mean that if I get a second class, I will get automatic selection. What we have to do is that we have to look at the number of applications against the capacity we have to accommodate students. We are very serious about it. And obviously, since everybody has a limited capacity, let's say 100 students, we are not going to take 101 student in there, right? And there we want the best students. So eventually, if you just think about somebody who is first class and somebody who is second class, and we are having only one place left, we will be going for the first class student. So yes, that is the entry criteria, but this is the minimum one, I would say. Okay. Right. And ideally, in this case, you should have studied typical modules that you study in electronics and so on. So communications, electronics devices, most of the undergrad courses, they have covered all of these things, which are actually pretty good. Next slide, please. Now, this is one very important one. And we have actually, this course in the earlier days used to be called just the electronic power engineering. But we have changed it because we brought in the energy and sustainability in it, because as you know, according to the Paris Accord, this is actually our question of survival. So here we talk about sustainable energy generation, and then followed up by the traditional electrical engineering, like how you distribute the power you generated throughout the grid and so on and so on. And for this, we accept students both from electronics and electrical engineering. That's not a problem. Don't think this is very attractive for the students coming from computer science background. And normally they don't apply for this course, and we can understand why it is so. And we obviously say that, yeah, if you have electronic or electrical engineering background, you should be applying for that. Computer science, probably not. And the language thing, I think I will talk about the language at the very end. Next slide, please. So that goes for our electronics part, and now we come to the computer science. So the first program that we have is the artificial intelligence. You know, AI is a big thing nowadays. Everywhere people just keep on saying that I will apply AI to get a solution for that. But how the AI actually works? AI works in different ways for different applications, which is driven by data and some set of rules. Rules that can describe complexity. Rules can describe causality. And all these things we teach in this artificial intelligence program. This has an overlap with data science because there is a commonality between them. I will come to this point later. But again, the second class degree or higher in computer science technologies or general engineering, physics and maths constant, even for all the computer science programs. Now here, the important thing is that we actually go for some more, let's say, cherry picking. That you should have studied signal processing. It is just a kind of general statement. But are you conversant with MATLAB? Or are you conversant with mathematical analysis softwares like Mathematica? These can make a serious difference in your performance in this particular module, in this particular program. So, and how good are you in terms of computer programming? So these are really important over here. And the other thing is that artificial intelligence is very much involved in mathematics. So if your mathematics marks is poor, there is a chance that you will not be able to get in. But because the only thing is that we don't want students to struggle. But if your maths is good, physics is, let's say, more or less so and so, it's still very good. Next slide, please. Now it is data science. A data science is kind of, let's say, I mean, data science is probably the driver of artificial intelligence in one sense, because artificial intelligence is built up on data. But the problem is, am I going to take any sort of data available for an application? How would I know that this data is actually the right representation of a phenomenon? How would I know that whether this data is not corrupted by something else? For example, if you take the ECG signal of a patient, when the patient is walking around, what you will see is nothing to look like a normal ECG signal, even though the person is absolutely okay. That is because the signal is corrupted by noise and also a type of other signal called artifacts. These artifacts has nothing to do with the actual ECG signal or how our heart is operating, but they have corrupted the whole thing. Now, if you just imagine this, okay, I take the whole, whatever ECG signal I got, without any sort of processing it or so on, and try to find out something, try to find out an artificial intelligence model based on that, your artificial intelligence model will never work. So how we can cure the data? Data science. This one now starts to talk about how you are going to, if you have, let's say, gigabyte or terabyte order data, no human being can ever comprehend that sort of information. And I want to use artificial intelligence for giving me result from that. But artificial intelligence also need a guidance. They operate on rules. Who is going to give the rules? Data science. This will talk about data has to be curated this way, that way, etc., etc. And that is why there is a kind of two-way communication between artificial intelligence and data science. And there are quite a few modules which are common. What we need is ideally very, very strong programming skill. And this by programming skill, I want to be completely explicit here because we get tons of applications and we keep on rejecting them. It's a stress on us as well. Very clear thing is by programming skill, I am not mentioning about MATLAB or Mathematica here. I am mentioning Python, R, statistical work package, because they are important for data science. Artificial intelligence, I will accept Mathematica, I will accept MATLAB skill, not here. Data science, I need Python. I need R. These are the things we need. Understanding of web technology could be beneficial here. Database, networking skills, and conversant with object-oriented programming, they could be helpful. But when it comes to that one seat condition, we will go with somebody who has Python, R, and that sort of experience, rather than somebody who is coming from object-oriented programming background. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, all this thing comes together in the form of cybersecurity, because nowadays we are talking about everything wireless. Even the healthcare has to be delivered wirelessly, where we talk about whether I can predict somebody is going to have a heart attack send that message out to the doctor immediately reacts, sends some sort of information that you need to do this, and I stop that impending heart attack. So this is the concept. Not a reality yet, but the big problem with all these things, this is just an example, you can just consider any sort of things, and I'm sure that you have experience of how the identity is theft and etc through different types of cyber attack. So what we need to study is cybersecurity. So how we can make our network completely secure so that nobody can eavesdrop in it. And that is the whole thing done in the cybersecurity. One big point here is that in Southampton, we have the UK government's Cybersecurity Institute, which means that here, our academians who are involved in cybersecurity, they actually, well, the slide has disappeared for some reason.
I will help you about that. I will help you about that. Let me share.
So anyway, I can just keep on talking. So what happens there is our academians, they are at the forefront of cyber security policy making as well. This is not to say that they are not involved in the other areas, but cybersecurity is such a booming field and it's such a kind of catchy phrase that I felt compelled to mention that we have the government's institute over here. And for that, again, it's kind of similar thing needed for the data science and artificial intelligence. Here, probably we are not very much choosy about the type of programming language, but we need to see strong programming language anyway. Not the type. I am not saying that you need to show me that you have studied Python. You don't need to show me you are conversant in MATLAB. But if you can show me that you have high marks in software related subject areas, we should be fine with that. Next slide, please.
Sorry, let me share once again.
So cybersecurity, next one.
This one, I think.
So this is done. Next one, can you click the next one, please? I think probably I would share my screen straight away.
Okay.
That's probably a better option here. So let me just try. Share screen. Right. So, oh, I think you need to give me permission, Imran.
Yes, let me. Yes, you have one, I think.
So.
Okay, Kuchik, I'm back.
Oh, great.
Okay, sorry about that. I sincerely apologize. I'm just connecting from my phone, so there seems to be issue. Okay, so you're at cybersecurity.
Yeah, can you go to the next slide, please? We have covered cybersecurity already.
Sure.
So now,
Kuchik, if we can, I think, Imran, do we have time? Are we okay for time?
We can complete in a few minutes, I think.
yeah, I'm just going to finish it in probably in 2 minutes or so.
Brilliant, thank you, Kuchik.
So basically, computer science is again a sort of umbrella course, just like electronics, as I have already described, where you can get feeling for every bit of computer science areas we talked about. But for going to the depth, you need to take some individual ones. But again, our requirements are different. I mean, our means different students' requirement is different. Next slide, please. And the final thing we have is IoT, Internet of Things. Nowadays, everybody knows about this Internet of Things name, but probably nobody knows what it means. So effectively, Internet of Things is something where we bring in different types of electronic devices, let's say, scattered around our whole space, be it our house, be it our office or whatever, and they talk to each other via wireless using computer science techniques and so on and so on. So this is the bigger view of Internet of Things, which is probably just this kind of hugely scaled up version of network. So here, this one, we have incorporated quite a lot of flexibility because there are lots of specialist topics over here, and you can choose different topics like smart homes, cities, environmental monitoring, healthcare, disaster relief, etc., etc. And they are covered in different types of optional modules like biometrics, open data innovation, foundations of data science. So you can see that lots of modules from data science, artificial intelligence, electronics, they sometimes come together, crossover to create this particular course. Again, you can think this one as a true interface between electronics and computer science, where you can have knowledge from both sides, but again, in a specialized sense. Next one, please. Right, so entry criteria. For our computer science, I have already covered in general the entry criteria, and it's basically just, as I say, that ideally C, C++, programming language that we will need. If you can show Python or Java, that's great, but depending upon the program, we have to prioritize that thing. And I have clearly mentioned that for each of the programs. One important thing is that no work experience is required, but we will take relevant work experience into account wherever possible. Again, that is dependent on quite a lot of criteria. So if somebody says that, oh, I failed in computer science in my undergrad, but I have 4 years work experience in this area, can I apply? No, you cannot. That's the straightforward answer. Okay, so English level is absolutely essential here. Although we say IELTS 6.5 or equivalent, our experience is that students coming with IELTS 6.5 do not perform that well. They should be actually achieving more, because problem happens when they do not understand the lectures during the class, or this is particularly evident when they come to they're writing their individual projects. I have seen students who have done fantastic work, but just the writing was so bad, they should be, just for their technical work, they should be getting 90%, but finally they ended up with 55%, where 50% is the pass mark of MSc. So we suggest very strongly to build up the English. Next slide, please. So this is just as part of the general observation I just said, and we are now emphasizing on raising the quality of students. And there are a number of measures. So for example, some of our courses, which are, for example, artificial intelligence, data science, electronics, they are in such high demand. We are kind of forced to close them in a very short time window, because we get so many good applications flooded. We don't have any more capacity, so we have to stop it. So if you think you want to study those, apply early, because if the seats are gone, we can't accommodate you anymore, even if you get high marks and if you are a great student. We will regret, but that will be the reality. Yeah, I think next slide, please. And that's all from me. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any question, I'm open for any question now.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Maratna. We have 2 questions, but these are about entry requirements. If you wish, we can ask at the end of Rami's presentation.
Okay. So thank you very much, Imran. Thank you, Professor Kuchik, for the great presentation and the full explanation of the courses. I mean, it's always important for students to understand what exactly they'll be studying when they join us. And I'm glad to say as well that electronics and computer science specifically is a very popular faculty amongst Turkish students. So this year, given COVID and the situation, we received 45 new students from Turkey. More than half of them came for electronics and computer science programs. So cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, data science, and many other programs that we offer. So I must say ECS is very popular due to the ranking of the university, and that confirms a few things I want to mention. I'm sure Professor Kuchik did mention, but just some general information about who we are as a university. Southampton is 159 years old. We are top 15 in the UK, 77th in the world, and part of the Russell Group Universities, a founding member of the Russell Group Universities, which are the top 24 institutions in the UK. I'm also glad to say that Southampton is a selected destination for the Ministry of National Education. So many sponsored students who come out from Turkey, whether through the Ministry of Justice or through the Ministry of National Education, are asked to apply to Southampton. Our location, an hour and 10 minutes away from London, not too far from London. And our entry requirements for students from Turkey, like Professor Kuchik mentioned, do vary. So some programs you would need to have an equivalent to a first. Some programs you need to have an equivalent to a 2-1, which is up to 2.7 GPA. Now, that varies, that is different from one university to another in Turkey, but if you have an equivalent to a 2-1, whether it's 2.7 or 3.3 or 3.0 and above, that's what we as a university would look at. So you have to have a very good GPA in your undergraduate program, or even in your master's if you decide you want to do another master's degree. Obviously, for PhD programs, you have to have good grades in bachelor's and master's degrees awarded by a recognized university, and I'm sure all universities in Turkey are recognized. But the good news is now we have started offering fully funded scholarships for students to do their PhD. So we offer a presidential scholarship. If you have a look online, full details about the presidential scholarships are available, and you may be eligible for a fully funded PhD. If you're not at PhD level, you can come and do a master's this year with us. And for next year, the program will be running again. You may be eligible to apply for the presidential scholarships. Now, English, Professor Kuchik touched on this. You have to have very good command of English in order to be considered. And we are willing to waive the English language if you can prove to us that the university that you're currently studying at is teaching you and assessing you in English. So if you provide us with a letter saying, my course has been taught and assessed, so-and-so has studied with us, this program, his course or her course have been taught and assessed in English language, we would waive the English language requirements. International Merit Scholarship, unfortunately this year, we don't offer any scholarships for students who want to study electronics and computer science, but sometimes students who study electronics and computer science would like to go on and study other subjects, maybe a management related subject, and we offer up to £3,000 to £5,000 in that domain. But unfortunately, this year we don't offer, the scholarships aren't running for electronics and computer science. Employability, Career Service Center, employability, and staying in the UK for work. I'm sure you are aware that now, from this year, you are allowed to stay in the UK for up to 2 years after you graduate. So there's a graduate route visa, and it doesn't mean you don't really have to have a job in order to be eligible to stay in the UK. You are allowed to stay in the UK and look for jobs. Obviously, with the strong industrial links that we have as a university, you may possibly be eligible to find a job with one of our industrial partners. We don't guarantee that, but we have a career service center where we guide our students and give them the right advice on how to look for jobs when they're with us. So that is something you need to make benefit of. University of Southampton holds other ways of us supporting students. We guarantee accommodation for the full duration of the course on the university campus. So if you're studying with us, your master's or your PhD, your accommodation is guaranteed with us. All residences are 5 to 30 minutes away from the main campus, and there's so many options depending on what you really can afford. And you get a free bus pass traveling from one campus to the other. UK study visa, the university is your visa sponsor. Obviously, Imran from BEB and his team can further give you advice on how to apply for the visa, but in general terms, your offer has to become unconditional in order for you to qualify to receive the CAS questionnaire and then a CAS letter where you use it to apply for the visa, and the process normally starts in June. So you are allowed technically to arrive into the UK 3 months prior to the start of your course. And when you arrive in the UK, we have a meet and greet service. We pick you up from the airport. As you can see here, some students picking up people who've come from abroad, and we have an amazing service running from London Heathrow, Gatwick, and we take students to Southampton by bus. Other forms of supporting student, there's a student hub available 24/7 via telephone if you need to have a chat with someone, but at the same time, we have a student disability and inclusion team. If you have any further support needed, we are happy to support you, and the student well-being team as well, making sure that our students are mentally, their mental health, there's no issues, and we have university counseling service, and we try to support students as much as possible. Professor Kuchik also mentioned that we, as well, you will be assigned a personal tutor who will guide you and help you through your course. So you have someone to speak to. You're not left on your own when it comes to joining the program. Life on campus, as you can see, a beautiful campus when the weather is nice. Our weather is much better than many universities in the middle of the UK and up north. We're down south, the weather is moderate and it's sunny. Sports facility, as you would expect from a world-class institution, we have huge facilities, whether sports, we have more than 300 clubs and societies. You can get involved in any type of activity, cheerleading, there's belly dancing, there's everything you can imagine, society you can get involved in. So we want you as a student to join all societies. We have a very active Turkish society. In total, I think we have around more than 65 students from Turkey. So we're very popular in Turkey, and students are saying amazing things about Southampton. The city itself, it's beautiful. They've done a lot of work on the waterfront. This is the new West Quay extension in the middle of the city center. This is during the Christmas period where you have an ice rink. And it's absolutely amazing. So it has everything you would expect from a city. The marina area, Premier League football, there's lots of restaurants and cafes and bars, a very vibrant city. And there is, I keep mentioning this to Imran, when he comes to Southampton, hopefully one day we'll take him to the Turkish, the Ottoman kitchen, which has been voted one of the best Turkish restaurants in the UK. So we have a very strong connection with our Turkish society as well within the Southampton area. Southampton is well known for water sports. If you're involved in any type of sports, I met an undergraduate student who is doing marketing with us. He selected Southampton because he does a lot of sailing. So it is ideal for water sports, but there's so much culture and nature and amazing places that you can visit around Southampton, whether the Isle of Wight in the bottom corner or the New Forest or other towns that are close to Southampton. Winchester is also a beautiful town, and there's many things that you can get involved in.
Rami, I think you forgot to mention the most important thing.
Yeah.
That coming from Turkey, they will love sun, and Southampton probably is the sunniest place in the whole England.
Exactly, it is the sunniest place. So if you love sun, if you love rain, go somewhere else. But the weather is absolutely incredible in Southampton. You're absolutely right on that. So that's it for me. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask, and we'll be very happy to help. Otherwise, please do stay in touch with Mr. Imran Mehmet, or you can take my email address here. If you have any further questions, we'll be very happy to help. So thank you very much. Back to you, Imran.
Thank you so much, Professor Maratna and Rami, for your great presentation. We have two questions in Turkish. I will translate for you. The first one is, one of our students would like to study cybersecurity PhD course, and she doesn't have background in that area. And she wants to know whether there is any engineering and physical sciences research council doctoral training program to apply. If yes, how many years is it taking?
Don't get the question very clearly. What she did not have?
She's asking whether there is any doctoral training program, EPSRC, in that area.
In cybersecurity?
Yes.
Well, EPSRC does the work in different ways. EPSRC basically awards doctoral training centers, or let's say Center for Doctoral Training, CDTs, in different universities. And they have their and basically the CDTs work in their own way, where they interact with industry and so on and so on. So each CDT, so for example, in Southampton, we have Mind CDT, and also there was a cybersecurity one, but probably it's a good idea to have a look at their website and contact them, because they have a different sort of let's say administrative structure compared to the MSc structure at this moment. So yeah, I would suggest to contact them straight, because it's a bit different from what we are discussing here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And another question is, one of our students would like to study Internet of Things master's program, and what is the meaning of the upper second class? Could you please?
Upper second class, essentially, if we look at the UK system, what happens is that we have the first class, and after that we have second class. But the second class is now divided in two parts. One is the upper second class, one is the lower second class. So to make the story very simple, upper second class means you should be close to the first class number. So let's say from between 67% to 69%. This is our upper second class. This is the definition, let's say. Below that is lower second class. Okay, of course, we can relax that boundary a little bit because there is no official thing like that, but by upper second class, we mean somewhere between 67% to 69%, because 70% is the first class.
And one more question, also about PhD course. Is it possible to take courses or classes during the PhD program study?
You mean attending the classes?
Yes.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. We are very flexible about that. And what you just need to do is to drop an email to the respective lecturer and just ask permission. Yeah, you go and sit. As long as the room is not completely cramped, you're fine.
Okay. Thank you. And there is one hand. Ahmet Bey, sorunuzu paylaşabilirsiniz sesli olarak.
I would like to ask a question. As far as the presenter said, there is no scholarship for Master of Science in Electrical or Electronics degrees this year. If there is a scholarship for second year, what is the most important criteria for a Turkish student? Like, I mean, how high should my GPA or IELTS scores should be in order to get presumably a high scholarship from Southampton University?
Well, it depends on the subject degree. Obviously, for electronics and computer science engineering, we don't currently offer. But usually students who have an equivalent to a first, so if you have an excellent GPA or you've graduated with a first, an equivalent to a first, which is a distinction at many universities, you may possibly qualify for some type of scholarship. Now, UK universities don't offer fully funded scholarships. They offer partial scholarships based on academic merit, so that may be an option. But for fully funded ones, there's the Ministry of National Education and there's the Chevening program through the British Council.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So there is one more question. He would like to study software engineering or a data science course, master's course. And what would you suggest to apply before applying to these two courses?
So in terms of what?
In terms of like to provide a strong application, I think.
Right. So for strong application, now computer science and data science, as I say, they are completely different entry criteria. So for computer science, if you show that you have strong programming skills in any of the languages like C++, Java, or whatever, you are fine. But if you want to apply to data science, none of these will help you. For data science, you need to have a clearly either Python or R, or you need to have some sort of strong statistical package experience and that kind of thing. So again, what I say is that look at the criteria and also the slides that I sent to Imran. That's not a problem if you share the slides and so on. It's all public, to be honest. So you can clearly see that under data science, what I mentioned, and what under computer science I say. Again, data science, we ask for specialized language skills because it is a specialized subject. And yes, very strong mathematical background is really needed. We do look at the mathematics number. Any module with mathematics number actually goes through a screening process here.
Thank you. And one.
Somebody has wrote something on chat. For example, I have 2.5 GPA from bachelor degree, but my IELTS is 7. May I apply for master program? I don't think you can unless you get high GPA. IELTS is not a criterion for acceptance per se. First thing is you achieve the academic grade. After that, we will be looking at your IELTS, not before that.
That's correct. In some cases, some universities may offer a pre-master's option.
Yes.
A pre-master's option may be for students who haven't met the direct entry requirements, but still want to come to a high-ranked university. Now, we offer that pre-master's program with a partner of ours called CEG, Cambridge Education Group, on campus Southampton. So everyone would be able to share more information about that. But if you have a look online, pre-master's University of Southampton, on campus CEG, you would find more further information about that. But that means that your master's program is going to be 18 months instead of being a 12-month program. So you need to bear that in mind. But it is possible, but a more expensive option.
Yeah, thank you very much once again. I think we covered all the questions. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you in Turkey soon, face to face. We wish you have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for
Bye.
attending.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.